All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Emily Boyd. I'm the small game mammal biologist for the Pennsylvania Game Commission. A lot of people don't even know the species that covers, but generally, if it's small and furry and you can hunt it, I cover it. But I spend a lot of my time on habitat management, which is really the crux of small game management. A lot of people, when they think about rabbits, they're thinking of the eastern cottontail, which is your backyard bunny. It's the most abundant cottontail species in North America. But here in this region of the country, we actually have two other species with pretty significant conservation concerns, the snowshoe hare and the Appalachian cottontail. Here in we're not in Pennsylvania. Here in this region, we're at the southeasternmost extent of the snowshoe hare range. And snowshoe hares are one of about 20 species in the world that transition to white in winter for a camouflage benefit. That makes a lot of sense considering a lot of their range is north of us or in really high elevations out in the Rocky Mountains. Down here, we have more milder winters and also more variable winter conditions, which actually leads to one of their most significant conservation concerns. And actually, the next presentation will probably get into this some more. But this species is listed on some state wildlife action plans as a species of greatest conservation need because of the significant conservation concerns we have. Unlike the northern populations where it's boreal forest, pretty much the same type of structure that exists, we in our region have much more diverse forests, which has some implications for how we might manage habitats to benefit this species. And that all leads into the biggest concern we have with this species related to conservation, which is mismatch. A white snowshoe hare on a brown background, that's a snowshoe hare in mismatch. And research has shown that hares in mismatch have a much higher vulnerability to predation. However, research has also shown that through management, through specific habitat conditions at large enough scale, we can actually mitigate that disadvantage. Habitat management is our best chance to benefit this species. With mismatch in particular, fine scale features within a forest stand are going to be really important. So here on the left, we have two pictures. These stands have fairly high levels of coarse woody debris. And actually here on the left, we have a white snowshoe hare and a white background. And I didn't put a circle around the hare on the right there, but you can probably pick it out, even though that hair is hidden itself within that coarse woody debris. Just imagine if that structure wasn't in that stand, it'd be sticking out like a sore thumb and much more likely to be predated. Another fine scale habitat feature, conifer, can be really, with any conifer species with low lying limbs, can be really beneficial to this species. There's actually a hare there tucked away in its form. Much better cover than this hare that was kicked out into the landscape. And another species, the Appalachian cottontail, it looks pretty similar to that eastern cottontail. And I think with both of these species, we just haven't had a lot of monitoring available. Those downward declines that Raina and Bob were able to show, we don't have figures like that that go back that long. More recently, especially varies by state, the level of monitoring that's gone on for these species. But in Pennsylvania, our snowshoe hare trends have been declining. We've actually elevated the conservation concern status with that species. The Appalachian cottontail is listed as a species of greatest conservation concern in all 4 states, which I think are represented here. And then also regionally as well. The Northeast region has listed this species as a species of greatest conservation need. Both of these species are limited to your high elevation forest stands with the really thick cover, so high woody stem density. So a lot of the aspects that Bob and Raina covered with early successional habitat, but also existing cover like conifer with low-lying branches, mountain laurel to some extent can be really beneficial for this species. And just here are some more pictures of what I think a lot of foresters might call like interference. We're, as wildlifers, are thinking much more of like the understory value of those stems for cover for species like snowshoe hare, for Appalachian cottontail. And also, I didn't want to repeat too much from the the great presentations before me, but just thinking of stands that enhancements we can make after a treatment has occurred. So a stand like this, you have some coarse woody debris, but it's pretty small in diameter and it's pretty tucked down. It's not going to be creating a lot of cover for any small mammal really, or even grouse or something else that might be tucked away in there. So this is a picture of a stand that might have an opportunity to create some gaps and leave that debris on the ground, increasing the coarse woody debris cover and also hopefully increasing the regeneration of seedlings that you get with that will eventually become suitable habitat for species like snowshoe hare and Appalachian cottontail. And just because I think it doesn't get talked about enough, we have this pretty serious rabbit hemorrhagic disease, which was first detected in North America in 2020, about the same time that we all were experiencing a global pandemic. This virus can spread between domestic and wild lagomorph species, and lagomorph being cottontail hare, your bunny and your hutch, and causes high mortality rate. 80% of most rabbit species that are affected by this will die. It spreads very quickly from incubation from infection to mortality. It's 3 to 5 days. And here on the left, you can see where it's been declared endemic. So it's in wild populations, and there's really no controlling it at that point. And domestic cases, the lighter tan color is where it's only been detected in domestic cases. We in Pennsylvania had a case back in 2022, but it's definitely, we don't have it thankfully yet in our wild populations in this region, but it's likely once introduced to spread very quickly through our rabbit and hare populations. So just wanted to keep that real quick, but happy to answer any questions.